right, so it was super cold last night. I mean, it was down to like 29 degrees when I went to bed. So I don't even know how cold it got in the middle of the night. But I woke up at 6 to some weirdness. So what the weirdness turned out to be was the generator propane tank was icing up and slowing the ability of the tank. It might have caused a problem. I think it just puttered on low power for a while. And I think that might have damaged my converter. So that converter runs all night long when that generator's on, keeping the batteries powered up. You know, once the batteries are fully charged up, then really it's not a lot. But what I did was I switched the tank over. Like I turned it off and it started running normally. The sound coming out of the converter was not good. Unplugged it because the solar was on and it wasn't really needed. So at this point, I have either to focus my attention and money on making that so that trailer can stay through the winter, winterizing it, so I'd stop focusing on digging right now, and then I would go and I would buy stuff, insulation stuff, and this presents so many problems doing it that way. Number one is the wastewater. The wastewater, I have to be dealing with the waste appropriate. Hauling this waste once a week and then distributing the gray water and then hauling partial gray water is just not sustainable way to go. I can't just every week be dumping, every week dump, every week dump. That ends when I finish the sewage treatment plant, right? So the second that sewage treatment plant is finished, I can stop this whole process. So that then just opens me up to a whole realm, you know, and I plan on kind of building the system with RV hookup in the system for both the initial and, you know, like I'm probably gonna have an RV, you know, and it's kind of a cool thing. And also, like, hypothetically, I could have a friend that could come over and plug in. So I'm already planning on doing you know, and it's not that big a deal. It's just a hole that connects to the sewer. But see, realistically, getting to that level is quite a ways off. I mean, that hole digging, I'll show a video. I'm going to make a good video of it here pretty soon just to kind of illustrate how slowly it's really going at the depths that I'm at now. And it's kind of brutal, to be honest, as well. You know, like when the machine bucks or whatever you want to call it, like you just get the I just do something wrong, crunch, boom, 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 boom. It's like being kicked. It's pretty rough on the kidneys and the nuts. Boom, boom, boom. Not a good thing. So it's like I can't really do it, like sit down and do that for 8 hours in a day. I might be peeing blood. And you know, I'm getting better to where I don't do it all the time. So anyway, it's slow going. It's taking a while, and it's going to take a lot longer because I literally have to go down 8 feet down. Then I've got to build my forms and the rebar, and you know, I mean, it's like a whole entire concrete cement underground thing I'm building, right? The sewage treatment plant's supposed to be cheaper. That's really not my sole motivation for building it. I'm really more interested in the fact that it's not going to foul up a big part of the land, and it's, you know, it's a build. You know, it's not like a sewage treatment. I mean, a sewage treatment plant's a little bit of a build, but I mean, it's just like a tank and some pipes in the ground. You know, this has like pumps and UV lights. I mean, there's stuff going on, fun stuff. Okay, so I want to build it, and I think it's good to have alternatives. And I don't know, there's no alternative to the septic system. If this works, that'll be awesome. Thinking about how it works, it's like the system is full of water from the start, I'm pretty sure. Start it full of water. And then the waste starts coming in here, and for every bit of waste that goes in, you're gonna push out some water. And that initial water is just gonna be the clean water that was filled in there in the first place. But eventually the sewage would work its way through, and the theory is that it'll always just be clean water coming out the other end, right? But then I think about like how sewage works. Like in a typical house, people add sewage when they flush the toilet. It's just a gallon or so. They take a shower and it's just a flow of a few gallons that are just going, just on a flowing, it's not. But then when you start thinking about how you dump an RV tank, that's a little different. That's a massive amount of sewage going into the system all at once. If that's the only thing the system did, it probably wouldn't be a big deal if it just worked like that. The time in between the times when you dump, because you don't just have it all the way just dumping, you have to save it up and dump it out, save it up and dump it out with the black tank on an RV. And if that was the only thing working on that system, then it would have time to work on everything, and by the time the next rush came in, most likely everything's already going to be processed. But if the system is a normal system, and there's house, and there's dishwashers, and washing machine, and toilets and showers, and all that stuff normally just going, and then you come in with an RV dump on top of that, will the system be able to handle that? Or will it just push out unfiltered waste? Now, we're talking about a system that has 6 tanks in it before you're even to a tank where you would expect there to be no visual effluent, right? It all looks, so I'm like, it's the capacity of these tanks that makes up their ability to process at the rate they're able to process, right? So then, like the guy that built the system that I'm copying from, it looks like he used 1.5 inch maybe pipe, or 1 inch or something to connect the pipe. So he has like a 4-inch pipe coming in, these connections. And I don't know, he doesn't talk about, he says he has a family of 6, right? Well, is him and his wife and 4 young kids, or is it him and his wife and, like her parents and then their kid? Like a little kid versus an adult is a different story on sewage. I guess maybe I should ask this guy in the comments, because he's a super friendly guy. But it's just like adding another tank to the system might be the difference of that system being able to handle these RV dumps on top of everything else, right? And I'm also thinking about having a 6-inch line going into it, which is already like going to be difficult to get the plumbing parts on that to go into one of these IBCs with a 6-inch pipe. The reason I'm thinking that is because a 4-inch pipe is what your standard sewer is, right? So if I have this house and every single bedroom has its own bathroom, then all those 4-inch pipes going into a 4-inch pipe, that doesn't sound right. Sounds to me like you have all these 4-inch pipes going into a 6-inch pipe, and then there's more than enough. I guess that's assuming that every single person is taking a shower at the same time. That could overload the system too. If I have if I build this out like I want to, and I have 4 adults living, and everybody go, okay, we're all going to bed now, and everybody goes to bed, and right before they go to bed, everybody takes a shower at the same time, that might be so much gray water going into the system that the system can't process it. So now those pipes that are in between the is where I'm starting to think about. Like, I was like, well, I'm just going to go bigger. But then I'm like, bigger might not be better, because maybe you want a little bit of a constricted flow. You're not just letting, so it has to actually push it through instead of it just easily getting through. I don't know. This might be one of those if it ain't broke, don't fix it type of things. Like, don't use bigger tube, don't do that. He didn't do it, so I shouldn't. If, he had a house and I'm running a farm, so I plan on having a bathroom out in the farm barn zone with the shower and everything, and washer and dryer, just so all that type of farm stuff can just be kept out there. Like, I don't have to drag dirty whatever I need. There's just all kinds of benefits to having washers and dryers and in more than one location. But again, is that going to increase my... Maybe what I ought to do is just plan on building 2 systems, because that would solve it right there. Because I could literally have the first system that I'm building right now and just use it, build a house into it, do all that, and then when I'm starting to do the barn system, I could just do a whole nother system, put the RV dump into that system, and then that system's only uses would be everything coming out of the barn and then the RV stuff, which might be overkill AF. Like I might just be able to add like 1 tank to the, I don't know, maybe add 2 tanks, because there's 2 processes going on. If you double that process, so there's the anaerobic and then there's the aerobic. Each of those has 3 tanks assigned. So if I went 4 tanks on each, that would probably cover the increases that I'm talking about. I might do that. Because building 2 entire septic systems, sewage treatment plants rather, and then there's the possibility that this doesn't work and I'm gonna have to do a septic system anyway. I'm not thinking that's gonna, if I was thinking that was gonna be the case, I definitely would not be doing it, because I already could have bought the septic tank and I already could have dug in all that shit myself. They say it's a $12,000 thing. That's because contractors, DIY, probably would have been about $5,000 in stuff and then, you know, hours of backhoeing. So hopefully I don't have to do that. Hopefully. You never know. If I do add 1 more tank to each one of those processes, see, now I'm thinking this, now I have to go buy 2, I would have to go buy 2 more tanks. I would have to probably dig the hole. I think the hole wouldn't be big enough, wouldn't be long enough. But that's a super cheap, I mean, we're talking about $150 in tanks, whoop-de-doop-de. Another air pump, but I might be able to just go with like 2 air pumps and have each pump handle 2 tanks instead of having, because I was going to do 1 pump per tank, have them all connected and have triple redundancy. That was my concept. But I most definitely could just have 2 pumps. That's redundancy. Yeah, a lot of things to figure out. Hey, thanks for stopping by. Like or comment is appreciated. Check me out on Patreon if you really love me.